everybody. I am Lisa from the Real Estate Coaching Collective, and I got my good friend Josh from Barra here today. And yeah, we have a new guest series happening. We're trying to do that on a regular basis for y'all. And Josh is just a wealth of knowledge and things like that. So give me 1 second. I'm a little bit behind today. I'm looking for my notes, and give me 1 second. I'm pulling that up real quick. And yeah, so today we are just, again, just talking to Josh. He's going to impart his knowledge over to you. But basically, I'm thrilled to announce, our special guest. It's Josh. If you don't know him, again, he is a key strategist. Key strategist, at Barra Agency. And Barra is known to be, a renowned company helping entrepreneurs, helping businesses streamline their systems, eliminate mundane tasks, and overcome barriers to scaling their missions. And Josh's passion is for strategy, execution. It makes him the perfect fit to any client's systems, ensuring that they're being built to stand the test of time. So today, Josh is going to be sharing his expertise on how to make an easy Zapier lead sweeper in Follow Up Boss. And he's going to provide valuable insights into automating lead management processes. So feel free to unmute yourself, show your video. We like to see your faces. And it's an interactive session, so we like to have that. But you're also welcome to post your questions in the chat. And with that said, welcome, Josh, and I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Lisa. And I actually have a quick little site page or web page that I made for you guys. So you can follow along. That's kind of what I'm going to be sharing today. Really, it's just going to be an easy way to create a really simple lead sweeper inside of Follow Up Boss using Zapier. It really does keep it simple to where it doesn't need any custom applications. And so I really wanted to show you guys kind of the power of what Follow Up Boss gives us to enable to kind of do that sweeping on our own, and as well as just making sure that your agents are kind of following suit. Because a lot of the times it's not the amount of leads that teams are getting that's the issue. It's the quality of the follow-up that's happening there. So I just wanted to put together some really easy strategies. Again, if you're just joining us, I added the webpage in the chat there. It just goes through all the instructions. So without further ado, let me get inside of Zapier here and share my screen.
Let's do it.
All right. Everybody see my screen? You guys see Zapier here?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So the first thing you want to do is make a folder because there's going to be multiple of these. The way that you can do it within Zapier with the built-in actions is by doing it by stage, right? So there's a couple things that we're going to need first before we move forward. First is obviously a Zapier account and a general understanding of Zapier. This isn't going to be even advanced, but it will be, you have to have at least made a Zap before, I think, to understand what's going on here. So if you haven't gotten there yet, make sure to go and get a tutorial on Zapier. You're also going to need a FUB admin access or an API key. So the way you can do that is going inside of FUB and going to admin and finding the integrations, and then going to the API keys and getting that so you can create that. And I'll show you why you need that in a little bit. And you also need an understanding of how the FUB stages work. So if you don't have a standard operating procedure that's already going on with your agents, there's things that they're actually supposed to do inside of FUB. That's going to be something that you're probably going to want to do with somebody like Alina Key, who is part of RECC as well. So she's pretty easy to get a hold of. But in here, you want to create a folder because, again, you'll have multiple Zaps. But let's get right into actually creating the Zap. Okay, so here you'll see.
Josh, yeah. You have Dave. He has a question. What is a lead sweeper?
Yeah. Oh, a lead sweeper. Great question. So inside of Follow Up Boss,
I'm very much a novice with this part.
Yeah, no worries. Inside of Follow Up Boss, often you want your speed to lead to be quick, obviously. You want your agents reaching out at certain points. And once you have stages set up inside of Follow Up Boss, and you have a standard operating procedure for those agents. So for example, if a new lead comes into the system, you obviously want your agents to reach out to them at least within the first hour, right? So a lead sweeper, what it does is automatically sweep leads to the pond that are being neglected. Dave, are you familiar with ponds and all that fun stuff inside of FUB?
I am. I now work as a solo agent, so I don't use them anymore, but I did have them when I had 2 buyer agents with me.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, this is helpful. For you, it would just be holding yourself accountable. But for a team, this would be kind of keeping the team accountable in terms of like sweeping the leads into a pond as far as like once they kind of go out of the standard operating procedure. So like the example I gave earlier, if it's a new lead that's coming in, if they don't follow up or communicate with that lead within the hour, then they are getting swept to the pond. And this system is automatically doing that rather than, you having a database manager inside of FUB that's kind of like cleaning them out and pushing them to the pond. So it's just for agent accountability.
From them if they don't eat.
Say that again?
You're taking their dinner dish away from them if they don't eat it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's a great way to put it.
Or give somebody else the opportunity anyway. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Any more questions before I move on?
Nope, I think you're good.
Cool. Awesome. So the first step, hopefully you guys have been in Zapier before, but you'll see that there's a trigger and an action. And inside the trigger, we'll just click on it and we'll go to Follow Up Boss. And so in the trigger events, you'll see here, and this is where you'll get signed into your Zapier account as well. We're going to look for the person stage updated. And so this way, this Zap is going to trigger anytime that a stage is updated inside of FUB or a lead is updated to a new stage inside of FUB. And so we'll sign into our account here. And again, this is going to be all inside of that web page that I sent inside of the chat. So this will be there'll be a step-by-step with screenshots and everything that you'll need in there as well. And so we'll pick the stage name as well here. So we'll go with, if it loads for me, we'll go with lead. So we know that it's a new lead, right? And then once we have this all set up, we'll just run a test to see if there's any. I might not have any in my sandbox account of new leads, but hopefully we do. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So we got Richard Hendricks here. Came into the system a long time ago, but let's go ahead and move forward with that. And so the first step of this, once we have a new lead coming through this person stage updated, is we're going to want to filter out any leads that we don't want to be swept. So this includes sphere of influence leads. You definitely don't, if your agents are bringing in leads on their own, in their own SOI, you probably don't want to sweep those leads from them, or that would make them pretty upset. There might be certain agents on your team that have a specific tier, like an admin or another team leader, a partner you have, that you don't want to sweep their leads either. So that's where you would go in here in the actions, and we're going to go to the filter, and this is where we're going to filter out these leads, right? So for example, if I don't want to sweep any leads that are assigned to Justin, I'm going to go to assign to, and then does not contain Justin Benson. And so now if this lead comes through, we can test this. So your Zap would not have continued because this lead is assigned to Justin Benson. And so all of these filters you'll put in place here at the beginning. So you're kind of filtering out the leads that you don't want to sweep. Any questions on that filter step of it? Cool. Awesome, blossom. Well, the second step after this, once we have our filter set up, we're going to want to set a delay. So how the delay is going to work is dependent on the amount of time that you want to give the agent to follow up. So when the stage changes to new lead, or there's a new lead that comes in, it's going to make sure the filter, and then it's going to delay. And so for us, we want to do this for delay for an hour because it's a brand new lead. We want to give the agents 1 hour to follow up with that lead, right? So a really easy way to do that is by just putting a delay step in. And so after that delay, there's a new action. We need to figure out, we need to find the lead again and see if anything has changed. So what we're going to do is go to Follow Up Boss again. And we're going to go to Find a Contact. And then in this step where it's asking you to find the phone, email, or ID, we can go here and click on this first steps data and just get the lead IDs that originally came in. So for this example, we're going to get Richard Hendricks ID, which is 51, and continue, and then we'll test the step. And we'll see that we get Richard Hendricks information again. And so this updated field right here is going to be what we're looking at, right? And so this will come in handy in our next filter that we're going to set up here, because if this update is the same as the update from an hour ago, that means that no updates were made inside of that particular lead, which means that the agent wasn't following up with them. And so that'll be important in our next filter step here. So we'll retest this and go move forward. Okay. So in our filter, what we're going to do now is make sure that this update field from, again, this first step here when it originally came in does not exactly match the second update in step 4. Maybe I have to find it here. Yeah, here we go. So make sure that it's in the find a contact step here. So update and continue. Perfect. So we'll see that this has been updated since it was created. And so that means that it's not going to sweep the lead, right? It won't make it through the system. Now, some teams want on this next step to have a warning before they actually sweep the lead to the pond, right? Like they want to make sure the agent at least gets a chance to follow up, depending on how much time there is on that stage. So usually this happens with nurture stages when you want the agent following up every 28 days or so. Maybe on the 27th day, you say, hey, if you don't follow up with this lead in the next 24 hours, it's going to get swept tomorrow. But in this case, since it's just a new lead, we're just going to go right ahead with the sweeping function, which is going to be a tag added to it. And I'm going to stop right here and see if there's any questions before I move on. Everybody following?
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So this action event here from FUB is going to be right here, add tags to a contact. And so what this will do is add a tag to that contact that you want to sweep. And then we'll go into Follow Up Boss to actually utilize the automations inside of Follow Up Boss to actually push it to the pond. So we'll continue here. And again, we're going to go to this first step and get the ID of that lead that was originally taken. And then we're going to add the tag swept to pond. Test step. And the reason we do this as well is because having the tag on it makes us know that we have, like, it has been swept to the pond. It didn't just go into the pond for no reason. We know that it was swept by our system, and that can come in handy later when you're getting kind of more advanced and you want to understand like analytics. You can pull how many leads have been tagged with this, and then you can kind of understand what your agents are doing and not doing. And so I'm going to go over to Follow Up Boss and show you how to create those automations based off of the tag. Okay, everybody see my screen? Thumbs up. Sweet. All right, so in FUB, we're going to want to go to Admin and then Automations right here. And so you'll see we have some example automations set up in here. But we'll go to create a new automation. And then from here, we can add a trigger, which is tag added. And search add tags swept to pond. And so when this tag is added, that means it's going to be swept to pond. So what we're going to do here is reassign agent, and we're going to throw it into a pond. So right now I have test pond 1, right? So this way, anytime that the tag is added, swept to pond, that lead is immediately going to go into that pond there. And you can select ponds differently. I've seen people do it like if you have Zillow specific leads and other specific team leads, and you want to split those, like maybe you have a group of agents that are working specific Zillow leads or maybe like HomeLight leads, then you can do that branch logic in here, dependent on what conditions. So we can do the conditions here and add like source, right? If the source includes Zillow, I guess I don't have Zillow in mine, but HomeLight, then you can have it HomeLight specific, and then you can create different ones, and we can name this like swept to HomeLight pond, right? And save that. And then this will continue running. So anytime that, oh, looks like there was an error. It's okay though. Anytime that this tag is added, then it's checking the conditions to make sure the source is correct, and then actually reassigning the agent to the pond there. And so the last step of this is the pond itself. And so I assume that a lot of you guys are familiar with ponds and how they work. But inside of FUB, it's pretty simple. You just add a pond, you name the pond. So we'll do HomeLight swept leads. And then you select the leader of the pond. I'll make myself. And then you just add all the agents that you want to see that pond. So then you can save these changes. And then you have that pond, and you can put whatever leads you want inside of that pond in FUB. Again, this is the basics of Follow Up Boss that somebody like Alina could teach you as well, if you guys are already working with her or not. But that's kind of like the first steps of FUB, is learning about the automations and the ponds that are actually inside of that system. Again, this is a very basic version of a lead sweeper. I'm going to go ahead and send my my nice little web page here into the chat again, so you guys can see it, even though it's right there pinned. But if you want to kind of discover more about what we can do with lead sweeping, I just wanted to create one that has all of the built-in steps in Zapier. So every single step is actually something that you can just do. If you have a team like ours, you're able to custom code pretty much whatever it is that you want. So we can pull entire smart lists on a daily basis and kind of go through the smart lists and do with those leads what you want. But this is a really basic version that you can implement into your systems pretty easily on your own, just using something like Zapier. And there is a step-by-step in that web page. But yeah, thanks for hopping on with me, guys. You guys have any questions in the meantime? Or Lisa, do you have any questions? Or I don't know how we want to spend the next 12 minutes here.
Yeah, I'll see if anybody wants to chime in and add some questions and stuff. So anybody who has like Zapier questions, obviously like Josh is there like to kind of help you and stuff. This is almost kind of like a basics, like outside of Follow Boss automations, right? So if you're not familiar with it, if some of the triggers seem a little bit weird, obviously like reach out to any of us can kind of walk you through. But Josh, I think that's a fantastic introduction to like Zapier if no one's ever done that before. So yeah. No questions there, but as far as like if somebody is a little bit more advanced, right, we could also do this technically in like make.com. There's N8N, there's late node. There's a ton of different automations out there. API Nation is another popular one as well, and it would look different if you're trying to set this up in one of those. So I would probably say if you're trying to do this yourself, that's always the best way, right, to practice, fall on your face, like do all the things so you know what's happening. But also, if you have a really good operations virtual assistant, something like that, who also knows how to work some of these flows, that's also really helpful, because as you're making changes to these automations, maybe in the future, you want to get more advanced, you're going to need like a CTO, right? Like Bara, right? If you don't have that on your team, right? Definitely outsource that to them. So you don't have to spend thousands of hours going through YouTube videos, troubleshooting what went wrong. I followed everything Josh did, but maybe some of your setup is a little bit custom, a little bit more different than what Josh had showed you. So definitely reach out to him for that. But Josh, question is, if they do want to build this in Make or something else, like is Bara an option for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Make doesn't have the like built-in steps that Zapier does. And we can also build this up on your own server if you don't want to pay the recurring costs of something like Make or Zapier. We can just do it straight at the source. So you can have full ownership of that and make adjustments to it as you'd like, which is fairly helpful in most cases because it is a little more to set up on the front end, but we can also build more off of it without paying the additional Zap costs or Make costs or N8N costs. Because at the end of the day, those systems are just in place to make it easier for people that don't have development power, which we're grateful for. But with our team, you don't necessarily need that. You can just build your own infrastructure from the ground up there. So yes, does that answer your question, Lisa? I'm sorry, I might have.
Just my question.
Perfect.
Awesome. Any questions from the audience? Anything else you want to see? Do you want to see Josh build cooler stuff later? I know I do.
Yeah, was this too advanced for you guys? Was this not advanced enough? I'd love to.
I'm sorry, it was advanced for me, but I have a Zapier account, and I had an assistant who built 2 Zaps, one of which adds all the new leads to my Google Contacts.
Oh, cool.
But that's like all we've done with it. I was really curious, like, what can it do? The account's up for renewal in like a week. So I'm wondering, like, am I using this? I know I'm not using it a lot, but I do like, I like to be able to send them emails direct from Gmail if I want to. So by moving them, like adding them to my Google Contacts, it allows me to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Other than that, I mean, I call using Follow Up Boss, so I don't really need them in my phone contacts. But that's pretty much what I'm using it for. If you got 2 minutes to like tell us like what else is there, and maybe what's a good should I go into Zapier and look at their tutorials, or is there better sources on YouTube, or what do you use?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best way to learn Zapier is definitely having a use case on your own, and then just like having a goal in mind of what you want it to do, and just trying to solve that. Hands-on experience is definitely the best because it really is just perseverance at the end of the day. Even when I was learning Zapier 4 or 5 years ago now, it was just a painstakingly figuring things out. Why isn't this working? Especially with ChatGPT now, Dave, if you have any questions about like what Zapier can do for you, or like hey, I wonder if this is something that this can solve for pretty easily, asking ChatGPT for a step-by-step guide on how to build it is really great. I mean, the potential is limitless, dependent on especially what kind of systems do you have. Do you mind if I ask what other systems you have? Is it just kind of Google Contacts and Follow Up Boss?
I'm using Follow Up Boss and Ylopo.
Okay.
I recently got Real Scout, but I'm not using it yet. I just had Elena add the campaign, the email and so on, the automations for that, but I haven't started using it. That's pretty much it.
I can kind of chime in just for like specific use cases I've seen, like people start off with like the main one. Since you're already doing Google Contacts, Dave, I just did another video with Ruben Aguila, and what he did is they actually sent all their emails through Gmail. And that's because they wanted to do the HTML and they wanted to use Gmail with just like their logos and just make it a little bit prettier, basically. And so they're using Zapier to pull in all their information is in what we call the contact custom fields. So let's say you're onboarding an agent and their onboarding date is next Friday. So instead of you manually typing that in, they're pulling in that custom field into the email template, and they have their nice logo with a couple of different links and like a video, that stuff like that. So it's a little bit more advanced as far as like custom coding, that kind of stuff. But that was one use case that I saw that was usually like pretty helpful, because you are a little bit limited to like the Follow Up Boss, like batch emails and email templates, right? If you want to make it pretty and stuff like that. So that's number one that I see very popular. The other two, second thing that I build a lot of, because I deal with transaction management and listing management, is we basically just have a Zapier that new deal gets added to Follow Up Boss, push it over to Google Sheets. That's it. It's just a deal tracker, right? You can get super fancy with it. You can like do your P&L in there. You can like, there's so much you can do in Google Sheets, but literally that is like the first basis. I'm like, if you're not keeping track of your deals in your own Google Sheets for whatever reason, as a backup, you know, maybe Follow Boss goes down for a day, or you just want to see it on the go, or you want maybe like a third-party person outside of your Follow Boss. Maybe they're not a user inside Follow Boss, but you still want them to see all your deals and things like, maybe like a bookkeeper, like an accountant, right? That's keeping track of like your GCI and things like that. That's a very good use case. So those two alone would be like very easy entry thing to the Zapier. And again, you could very well have your VA yourself build it out. Even like the chat bot, like if you use the AI bot inside Zapier and just say, talk it out, like, hey, when I have a, you know, new deal in Follow Boss, add it to Google Sheets. It literally will just type up the steps for you. And you still need to know, like, to make sure like all the steps you want are in there, but it gives you a very good foundation just to get started. So you don't have to think, oh yeah.
I didn't even know that existed. So thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
I pay for the account. I pay for the subscription. That's my usage.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Use the AI bot in there because it will work wonders. Like I sit there and I just talk to it all day long. What can you do, Zapier? But yeah, if you need ideas, Josh has very good use cases, and us at RECC, we get a lot of members too. So we'll be happy to post any Zapier use cases, and that's probably a good idea. We'll probably throw that onto our website at some point, and just like, here's all the things you can do with automations, because that can be just like a whole like session in itself.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else you want to add, Josh? I think we got like a few more minutes, and we'll let everyone go.
I'm all good. Make sure you guys check out that webpage for the step-by-step. It also has a nice little mind map in there that shows you the steps as well, if you're more visual learner too. So
I saw that, and that's really cool. And if you haven't checked out the Gamma site yet, it's basically an AI tool that you can kind of build really cool like microsites, and kind of like what Josh did. So I've watched it in the last few videos that they've done, and so I'm playing around with it myself. So if you add that on, if you are bored this weekend, go look up Gamma sites and see if you can build one for yourself as well.
yeah, they're the best. This site took me about 30 minutes to put up yesterday, so it's really good stuff.
Agreed. Awesome. Well, fantastic. Thank y'all for joining us. We'll see you at the next one. And thank you, Josh, for your time. And you know how to get a hold of us. We will have this recorded and send this out afterwards, as well as like just like follow-up homework things that you could do to move forward if you want to try to build this yourself. But you know how to get a hold of us, and we'll see you next time. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome. Bye.